Washington was the first president ever of the United States of America. Young boy, George got an axe for his birthday. He used it to chop down his father's favorite cherry tree. His father was very mad, but since George had told the truth, he was not very angry anymore. So most people say that Washington his whole life told only the truth. As a young man, Washington went hunting sometimes. He probably hunted deer, elk, bears, and a lot of other animals. George's half-brother, his hero, Lawrence Washington, was a major in a colonial regiment of the British Army, but unfortunately for George, Lawrence died in 1754, a very painful loss for George, who was about 22 at that time. Soon, George applied for Lawrence's former job in the military as a major and got it. At the time, the French and Indian War was going on. At one point, George attacked a French fort with General Braddock and Daniel Boone. Their forces were absolutely destroyed by the French. Braddock was mortally wounded, Boone fled, and George was almost shot. This was George's first experience with losing badly in war. Soon, George returned to the French fort with a force 3 times the size of Braddock's, and the French fled, burning the fort. This showed that he would not give up. In 1759, George Washington married Martha Washington, and they stayed married until the end of George's life. George settled down in Mount Vernon with Martha and her son and daughter. In 1773, many colonists disguised themselves as Indians and dumped $75,000 worth of tea out of a British ship in the Boston Tea Party. This shows that the colonists were getting angry at the British, and soon a battle broke out. In the Battle of Lexington, people do not know who fired the first shot, but many Americans were hurt or dead. In the Battle of Concord, the Americans defeated the British forces. At the Battle of Bunker Hill, the Americans built a fort made out of dirt, and the commander of the Americans said, "Fire only when you see the whites of the British eyes." Many British were killed on the first attempt and the second attempt to gain the hill, but on the third attempt, the British gained the hill with many of their forces slain. George, like the other colonists, wanted to attack the British in order to get independence. On July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence stated that the colonists wanted to be free of the British and under their own rule. Soon, Washington selected Commander-in-Chief of the American Army. On Christmas Eve, 1776, Washington crossed the Delaware River on a windy night. In the Battle of Trenton, just after the crossing of the Delaware, he surprised and defeated many Germans hired by the British, slaying their commander and taking many prisoners. The very next day, in the Battle of Princeton, Washington defeated 8,000 British troops sent by General Cornwallis. The Battle of Brandywine was one of many battles fought for Philadelphia, which the British eventually captured. After the British took Philadelphia, Washington was forced to flee to Valley Forge, where about 2,500 soldiers died and even more deserted. General Charles Lord Cornwallis was in Yorktown, Virginia with about 10,000 men. Washington and the French generals had about 15,000 men. On September 28, 1781, Washington and the French attacked Yorktown, and several weeks later, the British surrendered. The last major battle of the Revolutionary War was over. America had won the Revolutionary War. A legend says that when the British surrendered, they played a song called "The World Turned Upside Down," which is the song you were just listening to. This is a map of the Revolutionary War. As you can see, Washington won much more major battles than he lost. Gilbert Stuart painted a famous picture of Washington, which eventually was used on the dollar bill and a quarter. The new country made a set of rules called the Constitution. Washington was inaugurated as the first president ever of the United States of America on April 30th, 1789 at 12:30 p.m. Some people rebelled in 1794 in a Whiskey Rebellion led by Daniel Shays. Washington sent an army of about 13,000 or 14,000 men, and the rebellion was crushed. This showed that Washington was still a good general. One of Washington's last deeds was setting an example for other presidents by only serving for 8 years. Only one president since, Franklin D. Roosevelt, served for more than 2 terms. On December 14th, 1799, Washington took his own pulse before midnight and said, "'Tis well," and died. He died of a throat infection. These are some of the ways that our country still remembers Washington. We put his picture on the quarter and the dollar bill. Then we made a monument, and then, what I think is the most important of all, carved his picture along with 3 other presidents in stone at Mount Rushmore.